Everyone, welcome to your Module 3 overview video. Hopefully this video finds you all doing well. I know this is a very busy part of the school year, and so I appreciate all of your work and your participation in this course. Remember, Course 4 moves very quickly. So it's kind of like, I feel like the next time we blink, we're going to be meeting in our last in-residence sessions. So quick review of Module 2. You read about some of the program foundations in your survival guidebook, those survival strategies, chapters 1 through 3, and then you submitted your philosophy statement. So I'm going to be grading those this week, and I look forward to reading those. This is one of my favorite assignments to read. So I'm looking forward to that. And just a little catch up, I did submit your level of achievement reports for Course 3, and a few comments. So I listened to many of your presentations for your Course 3 instructional unit projects, but then going through them and reading through them, many of you did an excellent job on this project. I feel like the quality that the quality of products that was submitted this year kind of really made my eyes get big, and I was just really proud of you all. So you put a lot of hard work into that. I know that instructional unit project is pretty big. Many of you in your reflections, many of you, like almost all of you in your reflections, stated it, kind of how big the project seemed or how overwhelming it seemed at the beginning, especially because you were so well versed on how to differentiate down, but thinking about how to also differentiate up, or up or out for some of your gifted students was a real challenge. And so kudos to you all who designed like new strategy, or not necessarily new strategies that were new to you, and really tried to kind of push and challenge yourself to think of different ways of serving your gifted students. Now, you don't necessarily have to create a whole differentiated unit like that for every unit of study, but do think of, like, even if it's just 1 or 2 units a year that you can work in, that way you can ensure that you have some planned differentiated lessons, where you have a curriculum compactor for these other 2 units for next year. And the more you sort of gather those materials, the easier it's going to be, and the more just well-versed you're going to get in differentiating up or differentiating out for some of your gifted students. I know it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work for teachers who teach heterogeneous classes, where you're having to teach the on-level curriculum, differentiate down for students who need it, and differentiate up for students who need it. I know I've been there. I once had a class that also had 2 levels of math in it, 7th and 8th grade math combined, and then had those 3 differentiated levels within each of those courses. So it's a lot, but good job. You guys are doing great. So here for Module 3, we're going to dive into just a little bit well, there's 2 parts, Programs Part 1, and then next week will be Programs Part 2, where we start to look at some of these program models for gift education. Now, in the past, I've kind of spread this material out and really had you look deep into the program models, but reflecting back, I don't think it's super purposeful for you to spend a whole lot of time studying program models if you're not going to be in a position where you're making program models decisions, which many of us aren't, right? And so what I do want you to understand is to get familiar with some of the program models, so that if you hear them, at least you'll be like, oh, okay, I at least remember learning about that and know that I could find information for it if I wanted to. But maybe you also remember and understand kind of the general purpose of the program. So in this module, I'm just giving you a bunch of resources to look at how some program models of teaching, or at least some of these are classroom models, some of these are school models, how they're all different and what you kind of have to choose from. Now, some of this work that you're going to do here in Module 3 is going to be directly related perhaps to how you want to design your program for your dream program, or your dream school project that you're doing with your group at the very end of this course. And so you do not, for your dream program, have to reinvent the wheel. if you read about one of these program models this week or next week and you're like, you know what, that sounds really great. Let's just see what this dream program proposal would look like with this model in it. So you're welcome to do that. You're also welcome to pick and choose. I like this aspect of the autonomous learner model, and I like this aspect of the incubation model. I'm going to find a creative way to combine them together to create our new fancy name model. So use these as guides, but again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If there's one that kind of speaks to you and your group, I say go with that one. There is a resource there, and I'll show you on the website, where it's like a chapter of secondary program models. So these are models that are used more in middle school and high school. And there are a bunch listed in there, and they just give little short kind of reviews, maybe 2 paragraphs each. So do skim that. Some of those program models were really popular in the group last year, the Purdue program models. For those of you who are designing perhaps a program for middle school or high school. Some of your assignments due this week, there's an article reflection number 1. These are very short article reflections where you're reading an article from Teaching for High Potential, and that document is linked on the website, and I'll show it to you. You're going to complete the personal proficient project submission form, and then you're going to distribute your teacher survey, and that's going to be due in module 5, so 2 modules from now. So go ahead and send it to a teacher, and your reflection and everything will be due in module 5. And I've made a note here that your shadow experience is due in module 4, which is next week. So make sure that you have done your final observation and your final reflection in those journal documents. I'm going to navigate really quickly to the website to show you some of these things. So here in module 3, there's your reading chapter, chapter 4. Here's some links to review some of these models. Some are PowerPoint presentations. Others are just a one-page website. Your article reflection, if you link there, the guidelines are linked in it. And I've linked you to a folder where you can just choose a bunch of different articles. You can choose an article that just kind of speaks to you. So for these, some of those articles that you can review are K through 12 district focused. Some are elementary focused. Some are secondary focused. So read the little snippet I have there, see which one kind of appeals to you, and that's for your article reflection. Now, your personal proficient project, there's going to be a submission form here that I want you to fill out. And this submission form, find your name, is just where you're going to tell me like the topic of your personal proficient project, a 1 to 2 sentence description of it, and a list of what you plan to submit for your project. And this is going to help give me an idea of what it is you plan to submit. But if for some reason I feel like what you plan to submit is kind of like too much, like this isn't a novel or a thesis, I'll tell you to scale it back some. Or if I feel like it's not going to be enough, or if I have another suggestion, I'll add that suggestion in there. So I'll probably communicate with you all on this document after you fill it out. If you need review of some of those list of possible personal projects that you can complete, you can find that in your syllabus. Although that list of items there, you're not restricted to those. If there's something else that you feel is going to be helpful for you, helpful for your program, helpful for your school, feel free to put that idea here in this form, or send me an email and I'll help, help say like, yes, that's great, but let's do it. I would encourage you to do it this way, or it's good as it is, such and such. And then here is your teacher. Still with the personal proficient project. After you do the submission form, I've added a requirement. It's not really a new requirement or anything, but upon turning in your completed personal proficient project, you're going to provide a short cover letter to me with your submission. And so the cover letter template is linked there, or I just want you to paste this in. I want this to be page 1 of your personal proficient project. And I've given you a guideline, just 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph, you're just introducing me to your project. You're telling me what it's about. That gives me some sort of context for it. The second paragraph is a detailed list or considered a table of contents as to what your project includes. And then the third paragraph is your reflection on the process and outcome of working in this endorsement program, and then here on your project as well. So I've added that in there right here in module 3, and I'll try and relink this again down below. Your teacher survey reflection. This document is what you're going to be sharing with 2 teachers who are not gifted certified. So I've got instructions right here. 2 teachers not gifted certified. So you'll need to make 2 documents and share it with them. Replace replace all the red as you need to, so typing in their name, the date, and your name, etc. And then, delete the stuff up here for them so they aren't distracted by that. But they're just going to fill out the survey and return it back to you. And then in Module 5, you'll see there's a little reflection that I want you to kind of add based on what you received from those teachers, what you think about some of their comments. So that roughly is Module 3. And the last little notes are last in-resident sessions. That Thursday and Friday, the 23rd and 24th, we'll be meeting roughly 8:30 to 4:30. Imagine, again, we'll get out a little early on Thursday, and perhaps Friday will be a half day. We'll have to see. And then the location is going to be in room C12. That's in the C Hall at Clark Middle. Thank you, Cecilia, for offering your room. If you have any questions about this week, please feel free to email me. I hope you all have a good week. Good luck in all the testing that's coming up, and I will see you soon.